Right, everyone, let's kick it off. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the fortnightly Partner Solution Series. I've started running these from the start of January, and on behalf of LightYear Docs and I Love Accounting. So each fortnight I'm bringing different solutions for LightYear Docs members that we hope will help in relation to running not only your own businesses, but your clients' businesses, practical solutions you could put into place, and some solution provider services such as fortnight ago, we provided event and Optimum and talked about PPSR registrations, asset protection, and we had a lot of great feedback from that. But today it's back to I Love Accounting, and in particular, we're concentrating on outsourcing and offshoring solutions, products and services. And this morning, I'm joined by Dean Hutton from Berkshire BPO. Dean is not only what's your role, Dean? CEO, Managing Director, Director of Berkshire BPO, but also someone I consider to be a very good friend of mine as well. So I'm really looking forward to this session because we have a great relationship and we know this topic quite intimately, I would say.
Yes, we do. Thanks, Michael. Glad to be here.
Thanks, Dean. So what is your actual title within Berkshire? Obviously, you're director and founder and owner of it, but what do you call yourself amongst your team?
Well, CEO at the moment. So, but for me, as you know, job titles don't mean a great deal to me. So, right. As far as the staff are concerned, they know I'm the person they can rely on.
You are, and I mean, and as a, I guess as a service provider to myself for how long have we known each other? About 5+ years. Certainly, you are someone who I can rely on and go to, and always there, always answer my calls, always available, no matter what time of the day it is. And yeah, we've had some interesting calls at different times, but certainly. It's one of the things that I really value in terms of our relationship and our working relationship, and something that I think is really paramount and important when you're looking at putting in a solution such as outsourcing or offshoring, is to have that relationship is I think is number one. Thoughts on that, Dean?
Well, definitely. I think you've got to have somebody you trust, and I think that's in business in general, isn't it? I mean,
100%.
We all do. We do business with people that we know, we like, and trust, and it's important in any relationship or partnership.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's a big thing. Doing business with people you like. I mean, if you don't enjoy turning up and doing your work in your business, then you probably should get out of it. But certainly, you know, I've towards the latter end of my career, especially, and my working life, I always ensure I surround myself that, you know, people, it's almost the beer test for me. So who would I love to have a beer with on the weekend or after work or anything? And you're certainly top of that list, Dean.
That's what I like to hear.
So we'll just jump into, so obviously Partner Solutions, as I said before, each fortnight we're providing different solutions and strategies and support to help the whole LightYear Docs community. I love SMSF. We've gone through over a couple of fortnights. We've talked about Change GPS, Event and Optimum. We've got some more sessions on each of those. And obviously I Love Accounting. And we'll be keeping rolling out, looking at different tech stacks and a few other things like that. So today, looking back at that I Love Accounting LightYear Docs. I actually had a meeting with a LightYear Docs member this morning at about 9:30 and sort of run through, and he said one of the things we started the meeting was he was interested in how the Event and Optimum I Love Accounting actually fits in with the LightYear group. So I sort of run through that whole model with him. But in effect, independently owned, so not part of the LightYear group, but effectively outsourced off solutions and product providers to the LightYear Doc members. So they operate in, I guess, in a wholesale mechanism in regards to that. So today's webinar, we're talking about, as mentioned earlier, outsourcing, offshoring, how to implement outsourced solutions and focus on the areas that matter within your business, how these solutions can also apply not just to your accounting and advisory practices, but also your client's business. And that's an important thing. I know there are a number of providers out there that just concentrate, I guess, on the accounting industry, but the great thing I've got in my relationship with Berkshire is that got a vast and different array of customers, don't you, Dean? I mean, without going into it too much, you've got the likes of Graze Online, Right to Drive, Bright Finance, and you've got a number of accounting clients and a number of other industries, Dean.
Yeah, it's quite diverse actually, and we cover all roles, whether it be in the financial services part, whether it's underwriting or a collections environment through to AP, AR, BI, BA, and we're finding that it's changing every day. Really, people are looking for how do we actually attract more people. That when we're so limited here in Australia with people, how do we get the talent? And that's why they're tapping in overseas, and if in the Philippines the talent's there, so we just got a much bigger pool to choose from at the moment.
Yeah, and then that's probably a really important point. I mean, I've had a large number of accounting firms reach out to me of late in terms of they are struggling in relation to getting talent, attracting talent, and the lack of the talent pool, I guess, in Australia at the moment, in particular areas. So, and Philippines have obviously, it's got a different numbers game than what we have in terms of people, and lots of good qualifications there. Phil Scandozio has just asked a great question. Everyone, make sure you jump in, and when you write questions, put it to all panelists and all attendees so everyone can see. But Phil, who's a great LightYear Docs member, has just said, what does BPO stand for, Dean?
It's business processing outsourcing.
It is correct. And what does that actually mean? I mean, I'm about to go into outsource and offshore, but what does business process outsourcing actually mean, Dean?
No, to be honest, it's been around forever, and it's an old way of explaining it. But I mean, I'm not sure that it's accurate anymore. I think things have changed over the last couple of years, but no doubt it's about building partnerships with your clients and your partners. It's about getting to know them. It's about understanding their business and understanding what their business is, and then only then do you then to look at moving it offshore and identifying the right people, and getting the right talent that's going to work and fit your culture, and that's really important.
It is 100%. I mean, one of the big things, and I guess the skill sets I've found that you bring to the table, Dean, and your team brings to the table is, I guess, your experience in that, and it's probably good. We'll have a quick chat about it in a second in terms of your background experience and how you got to get into the, I guess, as Phil said, the BPO space or the offshoring space. And certainly some of the things I've been involved with you and some of the things I've seen and witnessed and which have been fantastic are just, it is getting in and having a look at the client's processes straight away and where you can make improvements. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to recommend a process to be offshored or outsourced. You've got that holistic approach in terms of helping clients and looking at their whole business, I guess, which is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's super important. And sometimes you can't help people. Actually, what they got is perfect, and so you tell them to stick with that. And sometimes they have outsourcing providers that they're already utilising. And we go in and have a look at it. And sometimes, what they do is brilliant. So there's no need to change. And for us, that's important. We've got to make sure that we're always doing the right thing by everybody.
Yep.
The last thing we want to do is, have a problem with our reputation.
And there's certainly some great providers in this space. And, we're not saying that, one is better than the other. We're just talking today in relation to, some of the solutions, some of the things you should think about and work through. And certainly we're here to assist in that process. And even if it is on a contractual arrange at looking at processes and stuff and how we can improve them. But so I've grabbed from Wikipedia there, outsourcing versus offshoring. Often they get combined and put together. This outsourcing is, we talked recently about employee share plans and ESOPs and stuff that ILA can do for our LightYear members and their clients and stuff. That would be, I guess, an outsourcing solution so that we're providing. We're not necessarily offshoring that role. You're outsourcing to us to assist with you in implementing that product or service. Offshoring is the relocation of a business process, so that BPO word again, to another country. And, you know, a big thing is obviously in what the guys we're talking today is those support processes such as accounting. But more recently, there has been a lot of that technical and administrative service offshore as well. I mean, in a past life of mine, Dean, you'd remember we actually got the team over, your team over there, to do some cartoon videos and some, I guess, info videos and stuff, and they did a fantastic job. So, but we've been able to put in tech roles, admin roles. I know that a lot of the partners at the big four accounting firms actually have PAs and EAs offshore in the Philippines now. So ILA, outsourced solutions provider. So we provide business-to-business outsourced solutions that can be outsourced, onshore, or offshore. And this is probably a big thing for me, but it allows you to focus on the value add for your clients and re-engineer your team and your focus. So ILA can provide accounting, bookkeeping, admin, SMSF admin, compliance, HR solutions, capital raising solutions, quite a large list. But we're effectively a business-to-business wholesale. We don't do direct accounting work. We work with LightYear members only in terms of providing solutions for them. So just talking about, again, I guess that ILA, Berkshire, BPO. I've known Dean, been over in the Philippines for 5+ years. I've grabbed a little bit of stuff from your webinar, from your website, Dean. I love your new website. People should jump on and have a look. But effectively, they deliver custom solutions tailored to your industry, your culture, and your one-of-kind challenges. So if you're preparing for growth, finding cost savings, or need back-office support, today's expensive competitive environment, there to help. So we work very closely with Dean and work with him in terms of, I guess, I've put that process improvement, finding solutions, what we can do and how it'll work. Phil's just put on another quick. It's taken a while to get to speed. Good point there. Phil said it took them a bit of a while to get to speed. New clients, but I struggle to find an accountant or senior level with near perfect English. What is your take on that, Dean? And we'll sort of talk about that in a second, Phil, but certainly a good point. But we're very fortunate in terms of the English speaking staff that we get, Dean, and their communication skills and I guess their qualifications. I think that's, and I'll get Dean to jump in here, but I think it's got a lot to do with where the location of our staff are in the Philippines. Dean's based in Central Makati in Glorieta. And our talent pool is a lot larger there. I think their English speaking is a lot better in that particular area. But if you'd just like to make some comments on that as well, Dean.
Yeah, look, I think there's a couple of things it comes down to as well. When we target for accounting staff, we target staff that aren't working in local organisations, but rather have worked in a BPO environment and that have had overseas experience. So I guess we sort of, and we advertise very hard as well. So we receive a lot of people come in, and at the moment I've probably got 20 yesterday that were accountants that came through that have all had international experience. But you're right, Michael, I think if you are outside and you're on the fringes of the provinces, then you will attract, I guess, people that are going to struggle with English. But I think the key point is when you advertise, you've got to advertise for people that have got international experience, not local.
Yeah, but yeah, certainly. I mean, I think you've always got the best of the best. You always seem to provide me with the best of the best in terms of communication English skills. I haven't had.
And that's the thing, we make sure that when you need someone, Michael, you don't see anyone unless they've passed all of our exams and tests, and there's something we go above and beyond and do. So you look for an AR or an AP or whatever it might be, they've got to pass all our exams, which the programs I use, and then they've got to get through the English assessment as well, because most of my Australian clients, they're speaking to the clients day in, day out, so their English has got to be at a really high level.
Yeah, and so I mean, definitely I've seen your bank of exams and stuff. So Dean's uses a program that can do, I guess, in effect, any role in any industry that you can come across, and actually goes through and as part of the process, the recruitment process, is he rolls that out and gets every single new team member or potential team member to do that testing. And I've certainly gone through and had a look at the different various levels of accounting tests. And, actually, I mean, once you get up to the qualified accountant and the CPAs or CAs, the testing is quite difficult, I would say. And the questions are quite tough. And and certainly I believe you have quite a high pass rate that you require as part of that as well, Dean. I thought it was around 70% or 80%.
Yeah, we actually bumped that up a little bit more of late because we seem to have a bigger pool. So we've been able to push it up to 90 at the moment.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'd be concerned that I'd even get 90% sometimes when I've seen it, but certainly, yeah. So just grabbing a bit from Dean's website again, the Berkshire Advantage. If you just want to run through that, Dean, quickly.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of advantages. We always mention cost reduction. I think, we try and not say that there are reductions. It's not about that, but ultimately, first thing we're looking at is, that there are cost reductions, and you can, depending on where you go, you can get some, and people will promise out there, you can get 70% reductions and 80% reductions, but you run yourself in the risk there that you've got people working out in provinces and the internet and flooding and all the disasters that can happen, and especially with COVID that we've just been through, we know how important it is. But yeah, look, 50% reduction is what you should be looking for all the time. For us, there's no minimum seat requirements. I have quite a lot of organisations and that fall under my banner, and so whether it's one person or or 100 people, that's fine with us. That's what we do. It's what we specialise in, and treat everyone as an equal. It doesn't matter how big your organisation is or how small. Everyone gets the same treatment. An integrated department. So I mean, the idea of that is, when you outsource, you don't want to have the headaches, and that's the reason you're outsourcing as well. You don't want headaches, and so by sending it over to us, we look after the IT, the HR, all the facilities, and all of the things that we worry about in Australia. And really, it's the things that prevents us from doing what we're best at. And often all of us that are here today, we get stuck, working in the business too much, and you need to be working on it. And if you can find a partner and they can look after all those facilities for you, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, you touched on something there, Dean, about COVID. I know we've had some various discussions about this, but what was your downtime for any of your clients when COVID hit? And obviously, it being a different country than Australia, Philippines got affected in a different way. But what downtime did you have? Because I know there was a number of BPOs that did suffer downtime during that, but yours is extraordinary how you handled the whole situation.
Yeah, and sometimes I wonder if that was good luck or good management, Michael. But yeah, fortunately, I spent a lot of time in the Philippines, and I could see what was happening. So we made sure we were prepared. We had internet ready to go. We had laptops ready to issue. We had buses ready to move people. And what I done, which was different to most people, I booked out hotels. I booked out condos. And made sure that we had no downtime. That was amazing that we pulled that off. I'm still amazed at that, but it's been a real highlight of COVID that we're able to do that. So yeah, answering your question, we had no downtime, and that's been the difference now for us to have growth. We've some of our partners had split BPOs they were using, and what we found is that some of the bigger ones actually did shut down, like you suggested, and they're out of business for 5 days, I think, or 6 days. So all that business is now moving back over to me.
It's fantastic. I mean, that probably gets to. I just want to talk about briefly in terms of your experience and where you came from. I noticed a couple of more questions which we'll get to, but where you come from. I mean, in terms of Lombard Finance and where you offshored, and then you obviously sold out to Flexi Group, I believe, and if you just want to run through that and what your sort of roles were and how you got to get into the offshoring game.
Yeah, sure. Well, you probably just said it actually, but yeah, I was the founder of Lombard Finance, a retail finance organisation, not dissimilar, I guess, now to Afterpay and ZipPay, and most of those people have actually have worked for me, including owners of those businesses. So when we went through the GFC was when I moved over to the Philippines. So I had to find cost cuts. I needed to find ways I could keep the business running. And not paying ridiculous overtime on Saturdays, Sundays, and also just trying to be able to keep my operation open with the long hours that we had. Yeah, I found that people in Australia didn't want to work those hours. So I had to find a solution. The solution was we went to quite a number of countries, but Philippines is where we landed, and it's because they're westernized and English speaking. So we moved to a 50-50 sort of process there, and over in the Philippines, I went through a number of providers over there before I set up my own. And what I did was I learned a lot about all the mistakes that you make doing it, and God knows I made all of them. So hopefully when I talk to people now, they won't have to go through that. Once I sold off that business, Michael, I took that Lexi group up there, and we put 400 or 500 people up into Manila for their organisation. And that was where the opportunity came for me to then change the way that the industry works, where it's not just about these big players and it's about cost cutting and not worrying about staff, where I put humanity back into it. I care about every staff member. I know every staff member that's up there, and trying to make a difference and understanding what it is, that every client is different, and it's not a one, not everything is the same. So you've got to be able to adjust. And I think that's where we've made a difference. So that's a bit of background.
Yeah, and then that's pretty important. I mean, a lot of the larger guys, I guess they try and get that cookie cutter mold or model, and you do care, and you do take an interest in the clients and actually helping them make real change. And a big thing is that you have made all the mistakes. And I've spoken to accountants, I've spoken to businesses who have attempted to outsource or offshore to the Philippines or to India or other locations, and they've actually failed, and because they don't have the ability, they haven't got the scalability to go, and they try and go and do it themselves. They make a mistake and they go, this is too hard. It's not actually achieving what we want to achieve. So the best idea is to partner with someone who has done that, has been there a while, understands the local culture, understands how it all works, understands how the process should be put into place for your team and everything. I mean, we'll circle back on a couple of these questions. I know Brett has one around seat cost, which we'll get to a bit later. David Dwyer said, are your employees located in a centralised secure office situation, or do they work from home? David, they are based in a centralised secure office in Makati, which is the CBD of Manila. I know in the LightYear team, we allow some of our staff members to work 1 day a week at home, just because they've come back from maternity leave and a few things like that, because we're quite flexible as we are flexible with our Australian team. We like to show flexibility with our Philippines team, but it's purely up to you. Like I've had teams over there with Dean. I had a large consumer finance team that certainly no one worked from home. They all worked in the office every day, didn't they, Dean? And the majority of your I guess your clients, they do work in that centralized office the whole time.
That's correct. Yeah, so it's an A-grade building.
Yeah, it is an A-grade. It's an A-grade building. I mean, it's better than a lot of the buildings I've actually been in CBD locations in Australia, and even Gold Coast and everything. It's a fantastic facility. I know I was just talking about COVID. I was just thinking back now. I remember on Australia Day last year, and I was flying out of Manila Airport, and I called you and said, what's all these people walking around with face masks on? And just as it was starting to break, and I was in the Qantas line, and I think I was the only one who didn't have a face mask on at the time. So I remember calling you, and you were back at your apartment, and we're having a bit of laugh about it. So Phil Scandozia just said, I use a large BPO now. How could your BPO be able to manage those team members?
It's interesting. It depends on the contract, of course, that you've got in place, but it's something that happy to discuss with Michael afterwards. The transition is not a difficult thing to do. And there'd be lots of things that need to work out, like are they working at home at the moment? Are they in the office? Where's their location? All those sort of things. I mean, I'm still providing buses and transport at the moment for staff coming into the office. So it's usually a way of doing everything that you can think of.
Yeah, I remember you were talking recently. You said it was hurting your back pocket a little bit in terms of, I mean, but that's the sort of things that I know you as a person have gone over and above in terms of you're paying for transportation to ensure that continuity within the team, and you know, not only looking after the client, ensuring their continuity, but also looking after your own team members over there, Dean, ensuring that they have a safe journey into the office and stuff. So during this difficult period.
Yeah, it's so important. And, you know, even if we have somebody now that comes down with a common cold, you know, we're doing tests in the office, or we're looking after them one way or another to make sure that, that everyone's safe and it's a safe environment at all times.
Yeah. So, well, obviously we've been talking the Philippines. Why Philippines? Obviously high English competency, compatibility with Western culture. Certainly it's very westernized. You'd almost say it's very highly Americanized, wouldn't you, Dean? Less costs, more jobs, certainly more jobs. Talent pool's massive, strong culture of hospitality. Definitely the Filipino people are absolutely lovely people, probably the nicest nation, or one of the nicest nations I've actually come across in terms of, you know, wanting to help you, always smiling, always happy. So some of them, certainly, I mean, in the telecommunications industry stuff, take a beating, and they always seem to turn up, smile, continue. And would you agree with that, Dean?
Oh, 100%. No, they are, and that's they really are some of the most hospitable people in the world. There's no doubt about it, and very caring, very family orientated.
Yeah,
and again, and that's what happens with your team, and you know, as you build them, is that they become your own little family, whether you like it or not.
Right, and it's important that you. I guess it's very extremely important. I mean, we'll go through some of the advantages and some of the concerns people have a bit after, but it's really important that they do become part of your team and you make them part of your team. You got to. I always say, what would you do with your team onshore in Australia? You've got to make sure you do the same thing with your team offshore as well. And that goes from training, treatment, culture, and making everyone fit in and be part of the team. But certainly on that high English competency, I know Phil mentioned something previously, but I'm sure Dean will be happy with this, and I'll say that, but we're more than happy to jump on a Zoom and get some of Dean's team members, even our team members, and show you what their English skills are like, and the communication skills. I mean, some of it's often I find it's better than some of our Australian staff, but I'm sure Dean would be very open to that through the process, even just to get a feel for it and everything for people. So
yeah, that's fine.
So advantages of offshoring I've got on there. So as we've already talked about a couple of these, access to vast talented pool. So there is a bigger pool of talent over there. A lot of the staff I've had in the past have actually had double degrees, had masters, extremely qualified and experienced, you know, with Australian experience, which Dean said is really important, that he ensures that they have. Yes, you can save dollars over the short term and longer term. I'm a big one who says, and I know Dean mentioned it earlier, like don't concentrate necessarily on the dollars. I think it's a byproduct that comes out of it, but it should be about saving time and effort on tedious tasks, administrative tasks, even compliance-driven tasks. It's the advantage, it's a lot flexible and scalable. You can scale up very quickly. Dean and I were talking about this before we started, but there's greater availability in terms of extended working hours. You can actually extend your Australian working hours. Client owns the process and the IP. You have direct selection and control of your staff if you want to, or if you don't want to. There's a few different options we can do there. There doesn't necessarily have to be long-term contracts in place. Employees become long-term value-adding members of your team. Do you want to add anything there on that, Dean?
No, that makes sense. I think that's right. Yeah, and there is long-term. I mean, I just had 2 people yesterday who were 7 years with myself. So, and a couple have just gone 5 years. So if you give them the right environment, you look after them, you got to treat them like you would your Australian staff. If you do that, then you'll have someone that'll be with you for a long time, and they'll be there 24/7.
Now, just some of the challenges and concerns. I know some people often, these are some of the things that come up, and I'm sure you've got more things to add to this, Dean, but panic and concern from your current team. I know, I've seen it, you know, we help you through that process, but there can often be concern about, hang on, what are they offshoring? We're going to lose my job. What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to our team? Choosing the right service provider. Data protection and security is often a big one people throw out. Communication skills, we've sort of highlighted that earlier. Cultural differences, Australian experience, set and forget mentality. I've certainly seen people fail because they think, okay, I'm just sending it offshore, it'll be handled. And I mentioned earlier that, you know, it's important that they become part of your team. We have, you know, at LightYear, we've got a good set of staff over under Dean over there that we have a 9:30 morning meeting every day. We jump on a Zoom, and that's got the Australian staff, it's got the Philippine staff, it's our whole team effectively. And, you know, some of those meetings go for 5 minutes, some of them go for half an hour, depending on the topics, but we ensure, you know, everyone gets involved. I, you know, as a director, I don't necessarily sit on all of them for LightYear, but I know the rest of the LightYear team does. And, you know, and I think that's an important thing to do each day. But, you know, do you want to talk about some of those concerns there, Dean? I guess about data protection, security, and, you know, panic with your current Australian team and how you deal with that?
Yeah, and that is hard. And you've experienced that firsthand, Michael, so the exact situation. It really is. And I guess that, yeah, we can offer that experience and show you how to work through that, where it's, you can keep your Australian team happy. And sometimes we actually don't mind losing a few of them as well, but we can definitely work through that. The key is data protection and security. None of us ever want to get caught out that we've dropped the ball there.
Yes.
It's paramount that we have that in place. We make sure the systems so tight, you know, we can't afford for any issues for anyone. So once we understand the architecture that you have or how you're actually doing things, and that's how we'll work with you to make sure that that everything is protected and secured. Often when people think they are secure, they're probably not, and we can offer help there as well. With the team that we have. The set and forget mentality, that is a big one. You've got to have one person that's engaged with the team. So if you've got a team of Manila, one person has to be engaged. And like you said, you have that meeting every morning. Well, that's really important. You've seen in my office, Michael, I'll run wormholes. You know, so I've got TVs and I'm running it from one company in Australia over to the Philippines and set up speakers, TV there, it's real time. And literally just talk to your staff as you need to, or individually run them, you know, with on their desktops or laptops. So that you can be looking at them all day and talking all day.
I actually love that wormhole that Bright, I'm sure there's others who are running them in your office now as well, but Bright has that effectively, so for everyone's purpose of what we're talking about a wormhole is they have a 24/7 in effect Zoom screen set up that I can just walk up to the screen like I'm talking into it now, and I can ask for Dean or whoever, and they can come up to the screen and we can talk to each other. So it's like we're sitting in the same office. We can have team meetings straight on it. You can grab people from it. So if you want to go up and ask someone a quick question, it feels like you are sitting in the exact same office. And even when they celebrate their successes, I know I've been there and they've celebrated hitting certain KPIs or goals. You can see the Sydney team celebrating, and then the Manila team gets right behind it as well. It's you know, it makes it feel like one big team. It's great.
Yeah, definitely.
We've just got a question. We've got a couple of questions there. I mean, are you able to give some idea of the seat fee cost? We can, Brad. I've got some outsourced pricing a bit later on in the presentation, which will go out. But we certainly, it's probably best if Dean and myself or Dean we jump on a Zoom and we sort of work out what you want and what sort of role. But because seat cost sort of differs for different roles. So whether it's, a bookkeeper, a qualified accountant, an admin role, it can range. So, it is quite good pricing, but it's probably difficult to actually say without knowing what the actual role is. But certainly, I've paid for, what would you say, a fully qualified accountant with 4 or 5 years Australian experience with tax and everything would cost in Australian dollars all up, Dean, which is, I guess, your internet, your workspace and your desk. What sort of cost would someone be looking at for that sort of seat? Just to give a bit of...
In the Philippines?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 5 years, so CPA. Yeah, you're looking at around 3,000, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
CPA, qualified, good English skills, worked for an Australian organisation, knows all pretty much, whether it's Oracle or Xero or whatever package you're using.
Yes.
SAP. Yeah.
So, and Aldo's asked the question, what services are provided? Does include financial statement, tax and return preparation? Yes, we can do that. We can, as I was sort of mentioning, depends on, like, we can provide either a product service or an hourly rate, or we can provide seats. So it's really sitting down, having a bit of a discovery session, seeing what you want and how we want to roll it out. Often people want to sort of, and often I suggest is you roll it out in bite-sized pieces. We get it, we try something, we make sure it works. So we prove the concept and then we roll it out. Who is we? Michael is, so Dean and the team at Berkshire and working with ILA as well. So we've got a team that can assist and roll that out and discuss it with you, Aldo. So in terms of preparing it, that can be, outsourced managers that we have overlooking at it, or you can just do direct, and we can have managers based in the Philippines. We can have a team based in the Philippines. So it all depends on what will work and what do you want to do. Kerry said, yep, 3,000. Yeah, that's 3,000 per month. Would be a fully qualified, but it depends on, I guess, years of experience, what they're going to do and everything, but that's a good range. And so then obviously administration roles we can get for less than that and a few other things, but that's a good ballpark to work on. So just a bit of my view on offshoring. I mentioned it earlier, and this is just my personal view, is I don't like to concentrate on reducing costs. It certainly can be a byproduct, and I've certainly saved and reduced costs through Dean before in terms of outsourcing and offshoring, but I like to think of it, especially with the accounting firms and advisory firms that I work with, is that you're sort of re-engineering your team in Australia. And yes, as Dean said, there may be some roles or people that you did not want to be part of your team anymore that might sort of fall as part of the process. But I like to look at it, re-engineering your onshore team to provide the real value add services for your clients. So there's advisories, CFO, get them out of the office, get them business partnering and working with your clients and getting a lot more work. And then offshore, the processes that are very workflow driven, some compliance tasks. I love providing the advisory forward looking value add for clients, and then using an offshore team or using our offshore team for those compliance, those admin tasks, getting admin members of your team. So, and I think on the next slide I'll talk about it a bit, but if you have a look at your team and see how much admin your chargeable staff are actually doing, you'd actually be really surprised. Some say, and some we sit down, we work with them, some have 2-3 hours a day. They're doing administration tasks that we could process, organize that role and offshore it. And all of a sudden you're doing your chargeable hours go up a lot more. As Dean and I talked about a bit earlier, COVID-19 has taught us some lessons. You don't have to be in the one place, the one office to be functioning and be productive. I actually have a view that some of the CBD footprints in Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne will actually start reducing. I know Telstra has started to do it in Brisbane and reduce floor plate space. And I think that will continue. Are you starting to see that and hear that, Dean? People realize that you can work from home, your teams can still be productive. You can work in different locations. We've used technological tools such as Zoom, Slack, and Teams to advance all of that. And I think it's been a refreshing look on how we can run and do our business. Thoughts, Dean?
Yeah, I'm still exactly the same as I know one of the big four have just said to all of their staff that they'd like them to be there 1 day per month at least to have their monthly catch up, but that's what they're aiming at. And I'm actually seeing offshore as well that in some of the bigger players over there, Australian organisations in financial services are doing a flexible arrangement as well, providing that the staff members got a working environment and got fibre internet, and we've got the security right. We're seeing that that's happening. So yeah, I think that no matter what country you are in the world, I think that environment's changed completely, Michael.
Yeah, definitely. I've just got up there. This is the sort of process we go through with Dean and the team at Berkshire, is that we like to, and we share this process, but we like to sit down. Obviously, that discovery session was really important, understanding your business or your client's business, understanding the current roles that the team does, and where we can help and make improvements to the process. And as we talked earlier, that doesn't necessarily mean about offshoring. We might be able to be engaged and help you with, and get Dean and his team engaged in relation to help in improving some of the processes that you do onshore and what your business does. And there'll be a lot of processes that you are doing right or your clients are doing right. But it's actually quite a good thing to go through. Then we can, from that, confirm requirements, select your team, be involved in that, and be ready to start. So there's just a couple of questions. Sandeep's got, do you offer fully qualified accountant for part-time basis as well? How much per hour will cost to get? We do, Sandeep. I've got some pricing on that a bit later. Do you handle compliance? We can. We can handle as much or as little as you want us to do. So that's sort of as we go through our discovery session and work. And do you have any engagement letter or legal agreement for confidentiality? We certainly do. I know Dean has, and we can go through that process and provide that as well. David Dwyer has, which jurisdiction applies to the engagement? Australia, and this is a question for you, Dean. Which jurisdiction applies to the engagement, Australia or overseas, e.g. probation period for full part-time employees, or can they be replaced if not suitable? How flexible is the arrangement? Very, very good question, David. We've come across this and breached it on a few occasions, and Dean can certainly answer that.
Yeah, look, the laws aren't that dissimilar, to be honest, to Australia. It is Philippine laws, not Australian, but they are very similar. We have everyone on a 6-month probation. So throughout that time, you've got 6 months basically to find the answer. If they're not the right person, then there's not much we can do. We're going to have to go through a really long process, but that's enough time to assess whether or not you got the right person. I'd like to think after a month we'd know that. What was the rest of the question, Michael?
Yeah, can they be replaced if not suitable? How flexible is the arrangement?
Generally what happens is, so if they're not suitable, we'll find a different home for them regardless. We need to work through it. But if they're not suitable, as in they can't do the job or they're just, they're not turning up to work, then it's very flexible because we'll move them out the next day. But if we've got somebody that we just don't think is going to make it, then we've got 6 months to make that decision. But after that 6-month period, very difficult.
Yeah, and I've found certainly you're very workable, Dean. I mean, it happens onshore. It happens anywhere. Sometimes you don't have the right team member; they don't fit in for some reason. But there has been opportunity in which we've been able to reallocate them to other clients, and they have fitted in well with those other clients. I'm not saying you can do that all the time, but there's certainly different ways to slice and dice if those problems come up, aren't there? So John's got a great question. So how's the technology connection, Oz office to Philippines? Cloud server, Citrix service window, or cloud server? Once again, I mean, in terms of what server or whether it's what you use, then that depends on each requirement, each client and what they're using, or how, if they want to utilize ours. But certainly the internet connection is well, I mean, you talk through that, Dean, but it's fantastic. I've never had a problem, but that's part and parcel, I think, in relation to where we're located in Makati. Certainly, if you're out in the provinces and stuff, you're going to have issues in terms of internet and technology.
Yeah, look, it's going to be robust. We run three lines. One of them is actually a Telstra. They're all 400 meg up and down to give you an understanding of what the position we're in. So Macquarie Bank, for example, their outsourcing is all done in the same building I'm in as well. So the infrastructure's there. And key to our business and my clients that are real time, and a lot of them, Michael mentioned earlier, they run 24/7 real time. I can't afford to be down for a minute. So it's really good, and I'm sure Michael can discuss that later with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's extreme. That's a very valid point you said as well in terms of the other clients that are in the same building as part of the overall same building. So I know there's Macquarie, I believe Virgin Money were there or still are there. I mean, you can probably name a few of those other large clients that actually really provide support behind that A-grade building and the IT, the HR service and everything, and why you're actually located as well. There's some certainly big names there, aren't there, Dean?
Yeah.
So what you get with your staff as part of that BPO, the Berkshire solutions, you've got modern A-grade office, as we mentioned before, workstation, desktop PC and headsets, secure internet access, access to meeting rooms and common areas, which, I've utilised a lot over there. They're absolutely amazing facilities. We get a lot of use. I mean, obviously, when you're having team meetings from here to there, they can get access to meeting rooms. Staff have great common areas. There's actually some of the teams over there actually utilise bedding areas too, don't they, Dean? Because they work, as you said, through those 24/7 time slots.
Definitely, yeah. And if there's storms or something like that, and somebody's got to travel quite a ways, then we provide accommodation.
Yeah. So offshore solutions, not only for you, but also your clients as well. As I mentioned earlier, this doesn't have to. It's really important that you sort of sit back and have a look what you can do for your key clients as well to help them provide scale, improve processes. And that's where Dean and his team can come in really well, is that they actually can assist and then they've got experience across a large range of clients and industries, which is fantastic. So I was just mentioning before, so it's really good to have a look at this process, is actually sit down and have a look at how much admin time your team members, your chargeable team members in particular, are spending each day. So like, I've just got a bit of an example there, but if it's 2 hours per day, and I have seen this with clients that we've worked with, 2 to 3 hours per day, and at $150 charge out rates, let's use 2 hours, the loss of productivity for 48 weeks, so allowing for, the 4 weeks annual leave, for one team member alone is $72,000 that you could be charging out. If you could gain back those 2 hours by utilising, one of the models I love is having an administration person or what I call a customer engagement or customer success person for each 3 accountants who can actually work with the client. We get someone with great English skills, great communication skills, can collect the client information, control the workflow. So the accountant is actually getting in there, doing the value add, providing the service to the client, and not spending as much time, I guess, on doing that admin side of things and the non-chargeable work. So ILA has some people talking about some pricing stuff. We've got some, this recording will go out in this pack and everything, so you can have a look through this, but we've got some product solutions for LightYear members that we're actually been working with a few LightYear members in terms of white label or ILA co-branded, where we can do the administration compliance work. We use onshore and offshore team members for that. We have, effectively provided you with 24/7 access, which is obviously using BGL or other SMSF software. And provide annual tax return preparation, lodgement, client manager, link service and everything, which is part of the normal service. We provide monthly reporting on those SMSFs by a set date, annual reporting by a set date. So we've got different price listings here, which will come out with all the different services and stuff. I won't go through in too much detail because everyone will get a copy of that. There's also some hourly rates. I know some people are talking about hourly rates and part-time and stuff, so we can look at those solutions where we have shared resources, and we do that for some people. And that can be bookkeeping, fully qualified accountants, admin, customer support and engagement. Obviously, hourly rates cost more than having your own seat there or your own team member, but there are solutions around that as well. As there were some questions in relation, what can they do? So we've got accounting products. So this is for accountants specifically, but I mean, financial reports, draft a financial, and we can have review services of those, sign off tax returns, forecasts and projections, management reporting, payroll services. I know, Dean, I was talking before we started, but a lot of the things he's seeing a lot of people starting to put into place a lot more right now is a lot of AP, specific type roles. Whether it's for accounting teams or for their clients in terms of AP and AR. If you just want to talk about that a little bit, Dean.
Yeah, it's really just started to get a lot of interest at the moment, and that actually hasn't been me out there trying to bring that on either. It's organisations of, I think they're just finding, I think it's just the talent pool in Australia is hard, and to try and find someone that's going to work the hours they need done and not complain at month end and do it for the right price. So they've all had a good news story, which is great. And there's, so it's building momentum in these organisations, which are large organisations, and the more confidence they get, the better.
Yeah. How many staff, across your different clients have you got approximately now, Dean, in your BPO?
In AR, AP, or?
No, just in all roles.
So 150 odd now.
Okay, wow. So it's good numbers and stuff to be. And I mean, you've been managing that, and obviously you haven't been able to get back. When do you think we'll be able to get back? Because I certainly would like to get back over there. I mean, we've managed and we continue to manage without going there. We can do training and we have meetings and stuff, but certainly it's good to sometimes get across and see the team and be face to face. As it is, it's good spending face to face time with your team onshore as well. I'd certainly like to get across and spend time with our team. I certainly miss the guys over there, and I'm sure they miss me as well. Bit of MJ time.
Absolutely, yeah. Look, it's a good question, that one. I'm not quite sure. I think could you go now? Yes, you could if you really wanted to, but I don't think I'd do the 14 days. So I think after July, hopefully we're all vaccinated by then, and I think that's when we'll start to see a little bit of movement. I know that a lot of the old expats have all sort of moved back to McCarty now. They all started coming back from the US in the last couple of weeks. So they're obviously feeling as though it's safer than it was. And you like to think so than a year ago, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I'm certainly not keen on doing that 14 days, but I've got a mate who's been playing in a few of the US golf events, and he just played in that World Golf event last weekend, and he's been having to fly over, come back, and spend 2 weeks in Brisbane in quarantine in the hotel. And I know he's not enjoying it, but I certainly don't think I would. I think I'd go a bit back crazy myself.
Yeah, 100%.
So I've just got some contact details there. If anyone wants to ask any questions now before we close it off, then I'll just wait a few minutes. But otherwise, reach out. My contact details are there. I can arrange a meeting with just myself to begin with, or myself and Dean, or someone from Dean's team. Certainly happy to meet some of our staff over there, meet some of Dean's staff, and see what the communication skills are like, what their skill set are like, ask questions and everything. I guess a bit of a touch and feel type experience, for use of a better term, but we're certainly open for that. So if anyone's got any questions, I hope everyone took a lot from this webinar. It was a bit of a high level overview and everything, but certainly welcome anyone who wants to book even a chat, or then further into a discovery session and see how we can help everyone. But thanks for everyone's time. Thanks, Dean, for your time today. Really appreciate it. Can't wait to catch up with you. It's been a long time between beers, long time between dinner. Yeah. Certainly a long time between our last Philippines trip as well. So definitely. So there's a question there from David Dwyer. Indicated price for a PA. So probably looking at similar, bit under that price we put before, David, but certainly happy to have a discussion and provide a more solid price in relation to that. Thanks, Dean. Thanks for your time today. Thanks, everyone. I'll end the webinar there. So look forward to everyone listening in a fortnight's time. Appreciate your time today, Dean. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Michael. No problems.